In 1824, Beethoven stood in front of an orchestra in Vienna, conducting the premiere of his Ninth Symphony. When it ended, the hall erupted, people on their feet, weeping, waving hats and handkerchiefs. And Beethoven kept conducting. He didn't turn around. He couldn't, because he never heard a single note of the music he'd just given the world. One of the singers had to walk over, take him by the arm, and gently turn him to face the audience, so he could see the applause he would never be able to hear. Think about the specific cruelty of what happened to this man. Of every human being alive, of every profession on earth, the one person who should never lose his hearing is a composer, and that's exactly who lost it. It started in his late 20s, first a ringing in his ears that wouldn't stop, then a growing difficulty with high notes, with voices, with conversation in a crowded room. He was, at the time, the most exciting young musician in Vienna, a performer, a pianist who could make audiences gasp, and he could feel it slipping away. He hid it for as long as he could. He avoided people so they wouldn't notice he couldn't follow what they were saying. He stood closer to the orchestra, straining. By his mid-40s, he was functionally deaf. To have conversations, people had to write their questions in notebooks, and he would answer out loud. The man who heard music more clearly than anyone alive was going silent from the inside. In 1802, still a young man, still early in the decline, Beethoven went to a village outside Vienna called Heiligenstadt, and there he wrote something extraordinary, a letter to his brothers that he never actually sent. We only found it after he died. In it, he confesses everything, the despair, the shame, the isolation, and he admits how close he had come to ending his own life. What stopped him, he wrote, was one thing: his art. The feeling that he could not leave the world before he had produced the music he still felt inside him. He decided to live, not because the pain had lifted, but because the work wasn't finished. And there's one line in that letter that I can't stop thinking about. He asked that after his death, his doctor describe his illness to the world, so that, in his words, the world might at least be reconciled to him once he was gone. He wanted, more than almost anything, to be understood. Hold on to that, because 200 years later, it comes back around in a way he could never have imagined. Here's the part that should be impossible. Beethoven's deafness did not end his career. His most revolutionary music, the work that broke music open and changed it forever, he wrote after he could no longer hear. The late string quartets, the Missa Solemnis, the Ninth Symphony with its choir singing of joy. He composed all of it locked inside a silence most of us can't even imagine. How? He could still read the notes in his mind. He'd spent his whole life learning the language of sound so deeply that he could hear it internally, construct entire symphonies in his head, note by note, and write them down without ever playing them aloud to a room. And here's what I've come to believe is the strange gift buried in the tragedy. Cut off from the outside world of sound, from the applause, from the audience in the room, from what pleased the crowd, Beethoven stopped writing for other people's ears. He started writing for the music itself, for the thing he heard only on the inside. The silence didn't just take something from him, it pushed him somewhere no hearing composer had ever gone. Now jump forward 200 years to 2023, because Beethoven got his wish, the one from that letter. The world finally set out to understand exactly what was wrong with him. Over the centuries, people had clipped locks of his hair and saved them, a strange 19th century custom, and scientists tracked those locks down. They authenticated 5 of them, confirmed they came from the same man, matching his known ancestry. And then they did something Beethoven could never have dreamed of. They sequenced his entire genome, from his hair, and they went looking for answers to the questions that had haunted his whole life. Why the deafness? Why the constant, wretched stomach problems? What killed him? They got some of it. His death, they cracked. He carried strong genetic risk for liver disease, and on top of that, an infection with hepatitis B and years of heavy drinking. Together, that's what destroyed his liver and killed him at 56. They even uncovered a family scandal. Somewhere back in his paternal line, the DNA doesn't match. An affair generations before he was born. Meaning Beethoven himself may not have been, biologically, a Beethoven at all. But here's the twist I did not expect. The central question, the one Beethoven cared about most, the deafness, they could not answer. They read his entire genetic code, every gene, and there was no clear genetic cause for why he went deaf. The one thing he begged the world to understand, the thing he wanted explained so badly, he wrote it into a suicide letter. Modern science, with tools he couldn't have imagined, still cannot fully explain. It gets better in a strange way. For decades, there had been a popular theory that lead poisoning caused his deafness, based on a lock of his hair with sky-high lead levels. The 2023 study tested that hair, and it turned out it had never been Beethoven's at all. It came from a woman. The whole lead theory was built on the wrong person's head. So the deafness remains what it has always been, a mystery. We can read the man's DNA, we can name the virus that killed him, and the scandal in his bloodline, and we still cannot tell you why the greatest composer who ever lived lost the one sense his entire life depended on. So what do you take from this, sitting where you are? Two things stay with me. The first is about loss. We assume that when life takes away the thing our work depends on, that's the end of the work. Beethoven is the argument against that. The deafness that should have destroyed him instead rerouted him. It cut him off from the crowd and the applause and forced him inward, into the pure music in his head, where he did his most original, most fearless work. I'm not saying his suffering was a blessing. It wasn't. He'd have given anything to hear. But the catastrophe that takes away your usual way of doing things can push you toward a way you'd never have found otherwise. The loss and the breakthrough weren't two separate stories. They were the same one. And the second thing is about mystery. We live in an age that promises to explain everything. Read the genome, run the data, and the person dissolves into causes. But they read Beethoven's actual genetic code, and the heart of him didn't dissolve. The music, the silence, the reason for it, the deepest question stayed standing. Some things about a human being don't reduce to a cause. And maybe that's not a failure of science. Maybe it's a reminder that a person is always more than the sum of what we can measure. Beethoven wanted to be understood. He wrote it down in despair, and then he spent the rest of his life making music he could not hear, for a world he was sure had misjudged him. 2 centuries later, we pulled his genome from a lock of his hair, trying to finally understand. We learned what killed him. We never learned what silenced him. And somehow that feels right. The music survives. The mystery survives. The man stays just slightly beyond our reach, exactly where the greatest ones always seem to live. So here's my question for you. If Beethoven wrote his most transcendent music in total silence, what might you be capable of on the other side of the thing you're most afraid to lose? I'd genuinely like to hear what comes to mind. If you'd like to support this work, you can do so by becoming a member. Support is never expected, but always deeply appreciated. Thank you for being here.